Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you're watching this in the world. Brian here again with another free weekly training. This one is a wee bit different because we're opening it up to everybody, not just the people in the Life by Design group. So if you're here, thank you for joining me. I might not have a lot of time for questions today because we've got a lot to get through in today's topic, which is about reducing worry. Worry is a kind of natural thing that happens to us, but it's also something that can be very debilitating. I know myself that I used to worry myself into some bright states, and at least to stress. It's one of the little things about stress. And it can lead to greater way into anxiety. And anxiety, again, can be one of the precursors to depression as well, which I've also come through, thankfully. So we're going to look at today various techniques for reducing worry. All right, we're going to look at where it comes from. We're going to look at not very quick, a lot in there, just very quickly, and then we're going to get straight into techniques for it because there's a lot to get through. All right, so I'm going to share my little thing that I've done earlier on, as I always do. Right, so here we go. Right. So today's topic is why worry less and achieve more. And it's really topical just now, obviously, because there's a lot of people worried about what's going on in the world. But this can be something that happens to you all the time, not just now, what's going on in the world. It could be worry about your business, your career, your kids, it could be worry about lots of things. And it can be quite debilitating. This little quote, I don't know who said it actually, but I think it's really a bit pertinent, is worry never robs tomorrow of its sorrow, it only saps today of its joy. And it's true, you spend a lot of time worrying about stuff that, may or may not happen. But did it really do you any good to worry about it today? What's going to happen tomorrow? And I'm going to make the distinction between worry and thinking about, all right? Worry is fretting and really putting worst case scenarios into your head. Now, this all comes from your amygdala trying to protect you. There's 75% of your brain that's always looking out for threats. So we're going to try and manage this a little bit in terms of the, allowing these thoughts of threats coming and looking at how we can mitigate that and how we can just settle our brain down a wee bit, and what that's all about. So why do we worry in the first place? Well, why think about worry? Well, it steals your energy. It really does steal your energy. Even if you're not staying up all night for it, you're using your brain thinking about stuff all the time, worrying about and fretting about stuff. I don't mean to belittle it by saying fret, okay, or anything, because worry is a very real thing in your mind, and it's there to keep you safe. It's your subconscious trying to keep you safe. It can cause stress, as I've mentioned already. You can end up, going round and round and round, as I did for years in insomnia, thinking about problems and trying to think about how to control them. And there's another aspect of it. It's all about trying to control things to protect yourself. And it's your subconscious constantly trying to get you to do it. As I said, it led to insomnia for me, and it might do for many of you as well, or for people you know. And what it ultimately ends up doing is it robs you of the energy to look at what you can really, what you can influence or control, and therefore stops you performing well in any aspect of your life, be it your relationships with your family, your friends, your loved ones, or your job, your business, your career, whatever. It can really rob you of that energy to go and enjoy life doing this. So what we're going to look at a lot here is techniques to help you worry less and achieve more. As we said, that worry is there because your subconscious is trying to protect you. It's trying to say to you, oh, look, this is something you need to be aware of. You need to think about this. You need to look at this. You need to, control this in some way. So control is something you'll hear a lot talking about today. So first thing to think about is, are you prone to stinking thinking? And I was prone to pretty much all of these that you're about to see. It's quite a long list. Don't worry, you can get a copy of this later on this presentation if you want. I'll go over that at the end. Are you guilty of all or nothing thinking? It's not that, yes, I'll be mildly successful. It's like, oh no, I have to be massively successful or I'll be totally failed, or I have to be completely healthy, or I'll be dead. You know, it's just one of these things, the all or nothing thinking that can sneak into us, you know, that we don't see the gradients and the shades of grey that can be in any situation in life. And you also focus on the negatives while filtering out the positives. I was world class at this, right? Looking at how crap I was at business, at my job, right? Crap I was at, you know, standing in my corner, how crap I was at being assertive, etc. Without looking at all the positives that I was capable of doing as well, and all the positives that were around me in life, especially when I was depressed. And coming up with reasons why positive events don't count. You know, we do that. We dismiss it. Oh, that didn't matter. You know, anybody could do that. You know, anybody could have managed that situation. No, but you did it. You know, so you've got to be cognizant of the fact that these things matter and that yes, you've done something here. And making negative interpretations for the actual evidence. What this means is that you're looking at a situation and thinking, oh, it's all going to be terrible. It's all, you know, we're doomed, you know, without actual evidence of it. You know, in the current situation, yes, there are people who are going to get very sick. And unfortunately, some people may die, right? But, you know, that's a drop in the ocean compared to many people die of the flu, you know, with the same kind of reach of this thing, you know. So we're making negative interpretations without actual evidence there sometimes. And expecting worst case scenarios to happen, you know, that's very much what happens. That can be ingrained in you from early values and beliefs, and we've talked about that in previous sessions, values and beliefs. So, you know, watch out if you're looking for that worst case scenario. You know, what is going on? It's, you know, everything's going, you know, the world's terrible, everything's going to be awful, nothing's ever going to get any better. And also believing that the way you feel reflects reality. What I mean by that is that just because you feel worried about a situation doesn't mean it is actually as bad as you feel, all right? It might not be as bad as you feel, it might actually be a wee bit better, but you believing that the way you feel, because I feel bad about this is going to be the worst thing ever, you know, and that leads to your brain going into overdrive to think about how to solve this, how to keep you safe, which is worry. Holding yourself to a strict list of what you should and shouldn't do. Now I've gone on a lot about the shooters, you know, this is shoots cause stress in life, right? Because I should be able to do this, I should be able to do that, I should be able to do this. Sometimes you can't because of external factors, right? I should be able to go to work just now in a public place and not have to worry about it. Who says? All right. Who says that that's a rule? It'd be nice, but it's just not the rule at the moment. So, you know, shoulds can put a lot of negative stress on you and put a lot of negative thought into your head. Now, I know I'm going through these fast. We might do these in more depth at a future time, but I want to go into the techniques section. Labeling yourself based on mistakes and perceived shortcomings. I used to think that I was shy, introverted, and would never really have a big social life or anything. But that was because I believed myself at that time not to be worthy of anything like that. I've since worked on all that stuff. But at the time, you know, I used to think, oh, God, you know, will I ever have a big circle of friends? Will I have a partner, you know, when I was much younger? Will I ever have a partner, you know, will that be normal, you know? What's normal? So watch out that you're not labeling yourself or situations as well. And assuming responsibility for things that are outside your control. Now, this is a biggie because we're going to look at control, what you can and can't, in the next couple of slides as well, about what you can and show you how you can actually look at this. And also, not just how you can look at it, but how you can tell your subconscious, I'm taking care of this, so that it shuts up, basically, and stops you worrying. So, this is Stephen Covey's little diagram here, famous personal development guy and author. He's got this circle of control, circle of influence, and circle of concern. And we're going to go through a wee bit about these on this slide, okay? And it's an exercise you can do for yourself. And I really stress that you should do this on paper, right? Get it down on paper, post-it notes, whatever you're using, but get it down on paper. Draw big circles on your paper and do this stuff, all right? When you're doing this exercise, because this really is how to get a handle on lots of things in the world out there concern me just now, you know, not just what's going on in the world just now with the virus, but also What's, I look at, global warming, I look at other wars all over the world, kids suffering in war-torn places. These things are of concern to me. But I don't have a huge influence there, and I certainly don't have a lot of control over it. But we do have a wee bit. So let's start to look at how we can move into these circles and see what fits where. List everything of concern on post-it notes, all right? Write down everything that's in your head just now that you worry about and it keeps you awake, or you're constantly fretting about or worrying about or catch yourself worrying about, all right? The good thing about doing this is it helps you to get aware of what you're worrying about. Because sometimes you're not, your subconscious sits there and worries away in the background and starts to wake you up and, at 3 o'clock in the morning and ask you what you're going to do with this. So it certainly did with me. So list everything concerning post-it notes, however small, your kids, your family, elderly relatives, anything like that, everything that you can put that's out there that's of concern to you just now, the state of the planet, global warming, whatever it is, all of these things. And don't think about what's important or not yet, just list them all. Great to use it on post-it notes because then we can move them around. And you'll see why in a second. Move what you can influence. That means it needs others' input, but you still have a say in there, all right? So take all that big circle of concern, everything's in the big circle of concern just now, and we're going to start to move some of it in to the circle of influence. I'm going to say, okay, that's the stuff that needs other input, but I have a say. So things like my kids. Well, I have an influence on my kids. They are ultimately responsible for their own behaviour, but they're still very young. And my wife has an influence there as well. So we have an influence there. So we put our kids in that one. Where are our kids? What are they doing? All that stuff. So our kids go in that circle of influence for us. What else might be in my circle of influence? It could be local politics. I can influence it. I can vote at certain times of the year, maybe, yes. I can write to my MP, I can write to my councillors, I can do that. Local politics. You have an influence there. You don't have direct control over policy, but you have an influence. All right, you see where this is going? So you want to start looking at, okay, what's from that circle, all that stuff that I had in my circle of concern, what sits in that circle of influence there? And the next thing we want to do is move what you can directly influence to that inner circle, that circle of control. What can I directly influence? Well, I can directly influence my children by behaviour through example and through showing them what's right. But I can't control them there. So that's still circle of influence is behaviour. What can I control? I can control how much exposure they get to social media, how much exposure they get to screen time, what they get to eat, whether they wash their hands when they're in my company. I can control these things, but nothing else. So you see what we're doing here? We're looking for things to move from that big, massive circle of concern to circle of influence and circle of control. Now, the reason we're doing that, here's the great. Once you've done that, make a time to-do list based on these, and I'll come on to that in a bit more detail in a second, all right? The reason for that is we're parking it, and you'll come on to that in a second, based on the things that you can control or influence. Because if you don't give your subconscious a time that you're going to do it, it's going to keep coming back at you. It's going to keep going, there's still that problem in the world here that we need to deal with and we need to think about, all right? Discard anything you can't influence or control. You might want to keep those post-it notes so you can say to yourself as a reminder of things that you can't control, your circle of concern, that light blue circle there. Discard that from your mind. Dump it, park it. Say to yourself, I can't do anything about that. There's nothing I can do about that. Tell your subconscious, look, I'd love to be able to do something about it, but if I don't have any influence on it, I can't vote on it, I can't talk to somebody about it immediately and have some impact on it, then there's nothing I can do about it. Like just now, what's going on in the world, I couldn't come up with a cure. No. Can I influence anybody to do it? Probably not, because they're all very busy trying to do it just now, the people that want to do it. And is it my problem in the first place to do that? No, because there's better minds in the world to go and do that stuff as well. All right? Don't own the problem if it's not your problem to fix. It's a really important message in that one. Don't own the problem if it's not your problem to fix. So if it's out with your circle of control, out with your circle of influence, it's not your problem. Don't own it. Let it go. Just let it go. Now, this other one is turning things into action. Let me see if I can move this because it's covering up my headings. Turn worry into action. All right, and I'm going to give you some ideas for this here. Look at your worry or to-do list, the things that you are concerned about that you have now said are within my control and influence. All right, this is my worry or to-do list, the things that I now am allowed to be concerned about, because the other things out with my circle of influence and control, I can't do anything about. I'm allowed to be concerned. Not worried, concerned. I should have used the word concerned there. Give yourself an allotted time to think and plan on something. All right. My brain used to whirl all night. Okay, and I've spoken to a few people recently whose brains are going in overdrive with what's going on in the world just now. All right. Give yourself an allotted time to think and plan on an issue. So if you have any control or influence, say it's looking after your elderly relatives or your kids or even yourself, give yourself an allotted time to think and plan it, and stick to that time. Okay, agree with yourself that whatever you have by the end of that time is your to do for that area of concern. All right, that's the thing I'm going to do about it. Here I've got it, and write maybe down a time that you're going to do it as well. This again helps your subconscious to park it and allays its fears that you're taking action on things that are worrying it, that your subconscious is going, oh wait a minute, there's things to worry about. Once you've said this is the things I can control or influence, here's what I'm going to do about it, and here's a time for me to do it. I've got that time that I'm going to work out my action plan. I used to sit and think about things like, what direction to take things in business, and I'd be there for months. Now I give myself a deadline. I say, right, 3 days or a day, I've got to make a decision on this and act. Move, act, and get feedback and keep moving and acting. Okay? So, and again, this helps you to keep the very act of momentum stops you worrying, because your subconscious lets go and it says, okay, you're doing something about it. You're moving in a direction somewhere. Okay? Right. Questions to ask when you're worrying and thinking, all right? When you've identified these areas of concern for yourself, these are the questions I want you to think about. What's the evidence that the thought is true? So if you're worrying about something and saying to yourself, what's the world's going to end, or I'm going to lose my job, or we're going to split up, or my kids hate me, or I'm a terrible father, or whatever it might be, all right? What's the evidence that that's true? Okay? And then counter to that, what's the evidence that it's not true? My wife still puts up with me. My kids still talk to me occasionally when they can be bothered when they're not playing and doing stuff. So there's evidence. Yeah, there's evidence that it's true that that there's some bad things going on in the world. Sometimes I'm grumpy, but there's other evidence that it's not true. That things aren't. It's not the be all and end all. What's the probability that what I'm scared of will actually happen? If the probability is low, what are some of the more likely outcomes? That whatever this present crisis in your life will pass? Yes, yeah, there might be, might pass like kidney stones with a wee bit of pain, but it will pass. All right, it will pass. All things pass. And as time moves on. Very philosophical, but it's true. So, and what are some of the more likely outcomes? Even in the things just now, talking to people, saying, well, thankfully, my family, none of us, apart, I got a wee bit of asthma, but nothing serious. So even if we did get it, my wife's a nurse and directly involved with the care, all this stuff. Even if we did get it, we're relatively healthy people. We'd probably feel flu like symptoms for a few days and then be okay. That's the more likely outcome than me catastrophizing about it. Is the thought helpful? How will worrying about it help me, and how will it hurt me? Worry, as we've said, only steals your attention from things that you can do, all right? Because you lose focus on other things and areas of opportunity and areas of positivity in your life. It steals the joy from today and doesn't fix tomorrow's sorrow, or even tomorrow's perceived sorrow, or expected sorrow that might never happen, as we've just talked about. Okay. What would I say to a friend who had this worry? There's a lot of thing. What would you say to somebody that had this worry? How would you allay their fears? Because if you can allay your own fears by having this kind of dialogue with yourself, it's your subconscious again trying to protect you. We talked about this in a previous session about critical inner voice as well. What would you say to a friend who had this worry to help them cope with it? And then, listen to your own advice there. Is there a more positive or realistic way of looking at the situation? I just mentioned most things pass, right? Yes, some bad things happen, but will it do you any good to sit and worry about it forever without taking action? No. Will it do you any good to sit and worry about it if you can't take action? No. So either take action or don't, but let it go either way. Let that worry go either way. Now, I mentioned this idea about parking the worry earlier, right? This was my lifesaver, absolute lifesaver. I had insomnia for about 5.5 to 6 years, and I was taking pills and all the rest of it because of stress-related illness and work, and because I was a worrier, all right, as well as various other things. So imagine in your mind you've got these parking spots, for thoughts there. What I want you to do is we've talked about this very briefly there, agree a time with your subconscious to focus on the issue. So you've got all these things that are within your area of control or your area of influence. Everything else you have to let go, all right? You really have to let it go because you can't influence it, Agree a time with your subconscious to focus on the issue. So say to yourself, okay, well, if it's me for, thinking about business and a campaign that I've got to do for work, I'll be saying, okay, right, I'll think about that tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock or tomorrow at 9:30, and actually tell my subconscious that's when I'm going to think about it. And I write it down. Now, the thing of writing it down is the thing that parks it for your subconscious, because until you've done that, it's just another thought. But once you've written it down, there's something concrete there. I'm going to think and act upon that at that time. That's what I'm going to do. It's why I pre-plan my weekly diary as much as I can about what I'm going to be doing and when, so that I don't sit thinking about, I should have done those emails. No, I've got a slot to do that, on Tuesday morning next week between 10 and 11. That's when I'm doing that. So stop thinking about it until then, unless I get free time or something. But that's when it's going to get done, and it allows the subconscious to let go of it. Catch yourself if you're drifting into worry. All right. The best way to do this is to notice if you're suddenly dwelling on a problem out with what you were thinking about doing at that time. So if you've pre-planned your time as much as possible, leaving time for spontaneity and all the rest of it that I've talked about before, if you can catch yourself drifting into worry, then that's the time to say to yourself, no, whoa, wait a minute, I've written that down. And if you haven't written it down, write it down. Just bloody do it, get it done. All right, write it down. See, that's when I'm going to think about it and not before. Thanks very much, subconscious, but it's taken care of, and that's when it's getting done. And then refocus your energy on the areas that we want to influence or control right now. So really, you can only control your own behaviours and your own actions, right? I have certain control, as I said earlier on, over my kids because they're young, and the amount of screen time they get, how much social media time they get with their friends, the older one anyway. I can control that, but I can't control them and their thinking. I can only be an influence through good behaviour. So refocus on what we want to influence right now. And control is what you can do yourself right now with what you have available to you. That makes sense? This next one is lovely. This is from the wonderful Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Another great book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, which was a great help to me, a wonderful help to me. It's an old book, very old-fashionedly written, as is How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is also a wonderful book. But this book is fantastic for me. And actually, a lot of the stuff that he's suggesting in the book actually comes from his conversations with other people about how they stop worrying and just got on with life. And what he talks about is living each day in our watertight compartments, hence the wee submarine in the background. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to shut off our thinking about yesterday. I should have done this. Should have. There's those shoulds again. That should make you feel tight. Thinking about what I should have, could have, would have done back then. Can't change it. Watertight compartment. Don't allow that thought through. Similarly, what am I going to do? Blah 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 blah. If I've planned it, I'm going to do it. Then it's left bye, it's gone. I've planned it today. It's tomorrow's action. It's tomorrow's thought time. That's when it's getting done. What am I doing today, right now? Now, he talks about doing this in day or hour type compartments, whatever suits you better. I was actually listening to Ant Middleton's book recently, the guy from the SAS Who Dares Wins program, about how you come close to it. And what he did was that he took it into little, almost micro time, seconds of fear that he faced. And he talked about it in that. So he was doing the same thing, taking it into very small compartments of time to think about something. And this again is like, a lot of time. And that's saying to you, I've got the control list. Yesterday I can't do anything about. I can't influence tomorrow. It ain't here yet. It's not here yet. I'd love to, but I can't influence tomorrow too much. You have a little bit of influence on how you behave and what the knock-on of that might be, etc., and what we've talked about with other people. You can influence, but ultimately you cannot control it. And you can't do anything about the past that's happened. You can't do anything about the past. You might want to go back and say sorry to somebody. It's about as much as you can do, but that's an action you take today. All right, it's not something that you worry about in the past. What happened in the past? So plan your actions. Again, come back to plan your actions. So what am I going to get focused on today? What am I going to look at today? How am I going to get through my day? What's my day about today? And execute that. Don't procrastinate, because when you procrastinate, that's when you allow your brain to go into these wee negative downward spirals. I know, I was bloody champion at it for years. All right, I've buggered up so you don't have to. Don't go down that road, okay? Don't do that to yourself. Look at, and I would suggest going and reading that book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. I'll put a link to it underneath this at some point. Fantastic, very short book, full of little things that you can actually do. It's really good stuff. I'm just conscious of my time here, folks. So, another question to ask yourself, is when did worrying ever do you any good? This is the most simple technique ever. When did worrying about something ever do you any good? And you might say, well, loads of times because I went and did this. No, that was when you start thinking about it and planning what to do about it. So when did worrying about something, about things that were out with your control or influence ever do you any good? They don't. It basically saps your energy. And it's one of the reasons, anybody worrying about me touching my face, don't worry, I'm here on my own, I'll be washing my hands after this. You worry it's not active. It's a reactive thing. You sit there and you ruminate and you think about stuff and you go through disaster scenarios. You're not actually planning what you're going to do. If you're planning what you're going to do, that's not worrying. That's taking action. Okay? And often planning and looking at a scenario and planning what you can do and deciding, is it within my circle of control or influence, and what am I going to do about it and when am I going to do it? That's planning. That's not worrying. Worrying is when you're just sitting there thinking without actually taking action. All right? Give yourself thinking time by all means, but again, limit it. Limit it so it doesn't spiral out of control and go on for days or weeks or months or even years, as it did in my case. All right? I'm hoping that here that you'll be avoiding the mistakes that I made in my own life. So, a final summary on this. I notice nobody's joined me here on the live. I don't think so anyway. I know there may be some problems with Zoom and folk trying to get broadband, etc. So the final summary is focus on what you can control or influence. Seems fairly straightforward, but we've got so much going on in our mind and we're bombarded with so many negative messages in our lives, all right? One of the main things I did to stop me worrying and bring my anxiety down a bit was years ago, sharing a flat with my best pal, Eddie, who was then my best man, was to stop watching or reading the news. I used to sit with the Sunday Times, Sunday before kids, obviously, and read my Sunday Times cover to cover, all of it, and it's all bad news. And if you watch the news, it's all bad news. There's very little good news. And it's all designed to control you. It's all designed to keep you fearful. It's all designed to make you scared of something else and to keep you worrying and to keep you fretful. Good news does not sell advertising copy, folks. All right? It doesn't do it. So it doesn't get eyeballs on screen. It doesn't. fear gets eyeballs on the screen. 75% of your conscious brain, your subconscious brain, is there looking for threats all the time. And that's what that's designed to do, is to keep your eyeballs and your attention with them so they can sell you whatever message they want to sell you. Okay? So focus what you can control or influence. Stop watching the damn news. If you want, like just now, people are very, I'm here in the UK, we have the National Health Service. If you want to know anything about it, go and look at the NHS service. Don't listen to some bloody politician talking to a news reporter who just wants to stir up the crap. All right? Go and look at the NHS site, see what their advice is, stick to that. There's your action plan. Worry over. Okay? Plan out your active time and stick to it. This is especially true for when you're working, all right, or planning business or whatever you're doing. Plan it out. Get active, okay, as well. You know, keep going out and, you know, I saw a video earlier on from a good friend of mine, Liz, who was out with a dog, just, you know, on the local lochside. Just makes you feel better. Get active, get out. You know, you maybe not be able to socialise with people just now, but you can walk around on your own. There's big wide spaces around most places. You can get around, especially in Scotland. The place is empty. Go for a walk. Go for around places, you know. But if you're walking, don't allow your brain to go into worry. Keep active with something that you're doing. Listen to an audiobook, do something like that. Park that worry. Park it. You know, park the time you're going to think about things and say, right, okay, enough. I'm going to think about it then, and I'll act upon it then if I can. And other than that, it ain't getting headspace. It ain't getting it. Because otherwise you're going to spiral. And that brings you into that next point of, you can't do that unless you're mindful of your thoughts, mindful of what's going on in your head. You know, maybe set a wee alarm. If you find yourself, you're a constant worrier or fretter, as I used to be, to set a wee alarm just to remind yourself, or something that you'll look at and see it. Something like that, like a post-it note or something. You need to move occasionally because it just becomes wallpaper. But if you set an alarm on your phone, what are you thinking? You know, these are mindful alarms. There are lots of apps out there, Calm, Headspace, all these other ones that will help you with this kind of stuff. There's hundreds of them. Just a simple alarm on your phone every hour. You know, move. What are you thinking about? That kind of thing. Great stuff. Very easy. Now, I said this is the final summary, but I wanted to touch on one other area which I am not an expert in, okay? And it's anxiety. And anxiety for me is just lots and lots of worries building up on top of each other, all right? And I found this little acronym. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the lady's name. I will put it up here and cite it because I've realised I haven't put it on the thing. It's from her book, Compassionate Self. I was going to try and guess the name, but I won't. Right, it's RAIN, right? Recognise the physical and mental symptoms of when you're feeling anxious, all right? What we're saying here is if it's real anxiety, you're really, you know, and I got myself in a state like this, well, almost a decade or more now, actually, in my career. And I got myself into such a state about it. And to recognise it, you know, you've got to be able to recognise that something's happening there, and what's that going? Allow the thought, don't argue with it. We talked about this in a previous session about talking to your inner critic. Don't argue with it because it's there trying to protect you. It's the scared child inside you trying to protect you that causes this anxiety, that's saying, protect me, please look after me. Okay, it's part of you. Investigate the emotion and root cause of it. You know, go back through some of those questions. Is it stinking thinking? Is it other people's influences? Where is this coming from? Who owns this? Where did this emotion come from? What was the root cause of me beginning to worry about all this? And then nurture the subconscious and allay the fears, just in the way we've talked about. Okay, I'm going to do what I can about it. You know, whatever I can control or whatever I can influence, I will be doing something about it. And here's the times I'm going to do it. And then let it know that you're going to let go of the other stuff. That for your own mental well-being, you're going to let go of what's out with your influence or concern, but still within your area of concern. That you're just going to let go. Because there's nothing you can do if it's not within your influence or control. So you're just going to let go of it. And hopefully that will help to bring down your anxiety. You know, do more positive things in your life. Have fun with people. You know, Do a gratitude journal. All of these things can bring down your anxiety, as it did for me. Anxiety was very much the little cousin of depression for me, I think, looking at the state of the world, thinking, oh, we're all doomed. And that's still not true, all right? It's not, there's still good things to be had in life. There's still great things to be done. There's plenty more ice cream out there for me to eat, okay? And apple pie, yeah, okay? Nobody been panic buying that stuff, so I hope not. But there's enough here. So recognize when you're feeling that way. Allow the thought, don't argue with it. Investigate the emotion and root cause of it. What is the main fear that's going on here? What is that main fear? And it is always fear. What is that main fear that my subconscious is worried about, or even my conscious is worried about? And then how can I nurture that subconscious and allay the fears? Okay, what can I do about it? Can I do anything about it? Well, I'll do it. If I can't do anything about it, I'm sorry, I have to let it go. I'm letting it go. I'm just letting it go. So I've ran through that really quickly today. I know that I'm conscious that everybody's trying to use all the bandwidth just now to work, to keep in touch with loved ones, etc. So I'm keeping this short. I'm not going to ramble on for hours on these things, and I intentionally keep them short for attention span reasons as well. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, and you want me to maybe give you a quick answer on it, please contact me. You can message me on the page Brian Canavan Coaching on Facebook. You can get me in the Life by Design group if you're in there. If you're not in either of those, maybe I'm hoping to upload this to YouTube. If you see me on there, you can email me at brian@briancanavan.com with anything about this. And if I can help you, I can. I'll signpost you. You can have copies of these slides if you so desire. And I hope this has helped some of you to put your mind at rest or ease the load on your mind a little just now. Because some people say, live in worrying times. Well, it's only worrying times if you want to worry about it. If you want to do something about it, do something about it. Otherwise, leave it the hell alone. All right? And give yourself some peace. All right? So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me on the replay. All I can really think to sign off with today is be kind to each other, be kind to yourself, and enjoy your life as much as you can. All right, there's still so much here that we can enjoy in life. That's really it. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.